then I'll treat him as such. He said that the race war has already started. He believed that we were in a race war. And he also was saying very, very violent and disparaging things about Breonna Taylor. He said that all Black people are looters and act like animals. So we know he was also a white supremacist and a racist as well. So that's just some of the additional information that we have uncovered at this time.
I want to thank you again. I want to thank you again for giving your time tonight as we try our best to, go where the actual story is at and not where it appears the police department want us. Sorry about that. The police department want us to stay in, which is a place of not knowing anything. Has the state police joined? Has anybody made a complaint against the local city police specifically about this investigation, or is it all being handled by the city police right now?
I know for a fact that they said the Missouri State Highway Patrol was one of the initial agencies that, and I know that the FBI was also on the site of the crime scene. But whenever I called and spoke with, and also had email correspondence with the Kansas City Police Department, they basically pushed everything and said that the Excelsior Springs Police Department is handling this case. So it's very much, I think, being led by the city police, the Excelsior Springs Police, but they have confirmed that they're working with other agencies as well.
So, you're being on the ground. I'm deferring to you. Do you feel comfortable with just the Excelsior Spring Police Department? Has there been a community call for the FBI to join the investigation? Is there, any kind of organizing for that to get a higher department to join into this investigation?
There hasn't yet. I think all the information, we just posted the story on our Instagram, I think at like 9 p.m. last night. And then we posted it on our Twitter, I believe maybe around 10 a.m. this morning or sometime this morning. So I think it's all very new information. And a lot of people haven't really, I think people are definitely outraged and people want to do something, but I don't think people have started to organize and channel that energy yet.
Yeah. Again,
make sure we get the phone number to the police station, please.
Yeah. Okay. I want to, before we send people to specific things, Cheryl, I want to be able to get some more facts and see.
Oh yeah, listen to this. Whenever you finish doing whatever you're doing, I just want to put that out there right there to let this young man know he's not by himself. That's all. But I ain't in no rush. Get it to me whenever we get it.
Absolutely. we about to turn on Black Twitter.
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Charlamagne.
What was the timeline when these individuals started coming up missing and the family started reporting them missing till now when they actually found the individual in the basement? So what was the initial timeline and how long has this been happening?
When the bishop's initial, the bishop and other community members were reporting that there were missing women, it was about, I think he posted his video on around September 23rd or September 24th, and he said that it was about a week or 2 weeks ago. So a week or 2 weeks before September 23rd or September 24th was when he said that people started coming up missing. So that would put that at about early September that these women would have come up missing, and that is the precise time that this woman whose courtroom alias is TJ is the young Black woman who escaped from Excelsior Springs. That was the exact time period that she was picked up on Prospect, was early September. But really, we don't know if he does have additional victims. I mean, she said that her two friends didn't make it out, so we really don't know how long he has been doing this, especially if he had a room in in his basement specifically built for this. We don't know how long he has been doing it, but we do know that the timeline between when these reports initially were made by community members and when this young woman said that she had been picked up and kidnapped, that those timelines are definitely very much aligned.
Yeah, let's just shout out to our viewers who are viewing our broadcast online. One of the comments was, "What happened now?" I'll just direct you to go to Kansas City Defender, their Instagram, or go to the website. Actually, go visit the site and just scroll through the stories. You'll see the timeline. You'll see exactly what has happened. Thanks for tuning in on LinkedIn, to our 2 LinkedIn viewers. One of the things I also wanted to know, did you ever try to get a comment from, since the governor inserted himself into the conversations, have you tried to get a comment from the governor's office?
When the governor commented, that was the case of Malcolm Johnson in March of last year. He's also a pretty conservative guy, honestly, and so he is not very much help, to be quite frank. So I personally haven't reached out to him or anything.
Okay,
yes.
I just wanted to see, I'm of that old school, the petty black journalist. It's like, I will call mofo in a minute, be like, sir, so the last month you made that comment about, how would you say, characterize that comment in light of the new information? That's me. And so the community is just getting the information. We're just getting word out here. What are the next steps that you want to do? Are we doing any kind of background? I mean, it may be hard, for that community where he lives at to do a background on him. But has anybody kind of started doing background around his neighborhood? There's always, a clique of 6 or 7 or a militia or,
We're actually collaborating with a local news outlet based in Excelsior Springs called the Excelsior Citizen on this story, because they were actually the ones who reached out to us about the connection, because whenever I first saw the story, I kind of just glazed past it because it was in Excelsior Springs. It kind of seemed, I never go out that way. And so I kind of just glossed past the story. And then a reporter from Excelsior Springs, from the Excelsior Citizen, reached out and said, wasn't Prospect the street that this young lady, or wasn't that the street that people were saying that young black women were being taken from? And so that was kind of how we first got access to that information. And since then, we have been collaborating with the Excelsior Citizen. And they actually they have interviews on their YouTube. They've done a lot of very in-depth research and investigation into a lot of the neighbors they've talked to. There's some very good information. I highly recommend people check out the Excelsior Citizen on YouTube. They've talked to the neighbors who initially made contact with the young lady, whose house the young lady ran to. They did a maybe 20-minute interview with her on YouTube right now. And so that is a very insightful interview that has a lot more information. One other person that I'm in contact with is it's called True Hidden Crime. And she has, she's on TikTok and she's on all platforms, but she's spoken to someone who previously dated this man, Timothy Haslett Jr. So there's that interview on the internet as well. There's quite a few interviews already available with people who live in that area, who are neighbors, who have interacted with him. There's even a lot of people who have been documenting what's been taking place and what they've been seeing. People reported that they saw blue barrels being taken from his house. People who live on that street have been on TikTok reporting these things. There's actually, I didn't know TikTok was this good at investigative journalism.
Yes. TikTok TikTokers be they go in, especially I can't think of her name, the one that does the racism, Auntie I can't think of her name is, but she's Auntie something. I'll find it in a minute. But yeah, they go
Beautiful to know.
they go deep on TikTok. Actually, I would say TikTok does a better job at investigative journalism than Instagram for the most part. So, like you're saying, I'm going through the YouTube channel. I mean, I just typed in, like, literally all I typed in was Excelsior Springs, and the first thing you see come up is the KSB HB 41 with the news article saying that the victim was found with a trash bag, metal collar, and duct tape. And then the fourth story down is you guys. KC Bishop discusses the Excelsior Springs kidnapping and the missing Black women, Bishop Tony Caldwell. So I'm glad to see you're right in the algorithm. You know, you're number 4. You're right up there with the local, whatever, Fox or CBS or NBC affiliates. So that's good. One thing I wanted to ask you also, I don't necessarily want to play the bishop's interview, but if you could paraphrase that, what did he feel like after, he's been, it's a horrible thing to be vindicated that you were right, that Black women are being targeted by a alleged serial killer. What was his feeling on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really, it's just a horrific situation, ultimately. And it wasn't like the time to be like, I told you so kind of thing. So that definitely wasn't his sentiment at all. It was more so just, this is what we've been saying, and I wish somebody would have listened to us. And we have been saying this, and a lot of these people were demonizing us. The local media was demonizing us. Very specifically him, because he was the singular figure almost that was most known because of that video. Even more so than us. He was being demonized. He said he received threats. All types of horrible things have happened to him. And so he just hopes now, and he talked a lot through, families that he talked to who are still missing family members. And yeah, I think he just really wants to see something done about this. That's really his top concern. So I think it's a very good interview because a lot of people don't know this. This is a very interesting fact too, that he was actually, and another reason that I think he had credibility initially was because he was actually one of the very first people in the community to identify one of the previous Kansas City serial killers, a man named Terry Blair, who I believe was in the 80s. I believe it was the 80s. And this Bishop Tony Caldwell, was one of the very first people before, and this is when they were trying again to get the Kansas City Police Department to admit that there was a serial killer. And Bishop Caldwell was one of the first people because he had organized a community cleanup with his community group. They were doing a community cleanup and came across one of the first bodies. This is what he documents in our interview with him, is that they came across one of the first bodies of the victims of Terry Blair when they were doing a community cleanup. And it was a very similar situation because Terry Blair, once again, was kidnapping people from Prospect, the very exact same street. And so the bishop has this history of recognizing these patterns of being very much on the ground and having trust within the community and people who come to him when people in the families or people that they care about are missing. And so, yeah, I think he just has a very, very interesting story, and it's just a powerful thing to listen to. So.
Yeah, wow, that's I didn't really, I did see the Terry Blair pop up in the video. I didn't put two connection to him too, because I wasn't gonna play it. But wow, that's man, it This is the thing, this is why I do what I do, because people just don't listen to us. Our voice really, it matters. I'm not saying our voice doesn't matter, but we have to struggle so effing hard to be heard. It is ridiculous. Here's a dude and he's got every single, if I had known this, boy, when I first saw you, I went toe to toe with a couple, and I actually I'm going to send you a screenshot of an apology somebody said, because she was one of the ones I was like, yeah, well, they're passing around unfounded information. That's what happens. I'm like, why would a bishop lie about, or even if he was giving his opinion, still it's valid. Like this concept that, but anyway, thank God for, the work that you're doing locally. I appreciate you, brother, and here to support you, and if you think it's, if anybody comes up with a petition or change.org or, anything that we need to support. And as Auntie Cheryl said, when there is a call to action, please hit me up so we can make that, amplify that call to action across all platforms and really bring attention to this. Whatever the community decides, the next step needs. The reports have been filed now.
I'll have to check. I know that they're all in our Missouri State Highway. I think the last time I checked was like 2 days ago, maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, I haven't seen new ones that have been filed. And I think that the issue actually with this entire process is that, and this is something that we document in our published story on our website, but and it was confirmed in our correspondence with the Kansas City Police Department when I reached out to them, is that if there's not a very official record to their missing persons unit, and a lot of people actually don't have, a lot of the people who do go missing, if they're sex workers, for instance, or other people who may not have people to do that official report to them, then the Kansas City Police Department treats it as if it does not exist at all. And so that was the case with this situation, was because of the fact that these women did not have official police reports, they do not care if the community is saying these people are missing. They treat it as if it's not in our missing persons unit, then it does not exist, and it's completely unfounded and it's a rumor. And to us, we think that is a problem, and clearly it was a problem based off the information that we have now. So.
No, absolutely. I work with Help Us Find Us, which is the Black and Missing Foundation, and I'll be reaching out to them, to one of the founders tonight, just texting her and let her know, heads up. But that's one of the main reasons they founded the foundation, was that you could not get and one of the founders is a former policewoman. You could not get the police to do reports. You just couldn't get them. And it was like, pulling teeth. And thank goodness these two women created the Black and Missing Foundation, and have for the past 12 years, done the work. It's just deploying resources to a community and making sure the community knows that there is a Black and Missing Foundation. They've been in this space for a long time. They had an HBO show, 4-part docuseries on Black and missing women. A lot of people don't know. And so even though you think, oh, I'm on HBO or I'm on, whatever, doesn't mean everybody sees you. And some people don't have cable, so they never see you. So I'll reach out to them and circle back with you in case there's, I can make a connection with them to any of their family members or the connection to the bishop. So we're about solutions. And that's my lens on journalism, is what's the solution? Tell me the story, and then what are we doing? What's the next thing? Because we can't continue to just, report for the sake of reporting. We got to report with, at least in my opinion, we got to report with solution-based solutions in general. Anything else you want us to know about what you got coming out, or stories we need to follow up on, or where people can reach you guys personally?
I think just in terms of, I know you previously asked what's the next thing for us, or how is community organizing? I know that even after our very initial reports, so before all of this new information came out, we recognized the problem that you just kind of talked about with these official missing persons unit. A lot of times them not accepting the information or them not diligently, acting on it or whatever the case is. So we have been talking to quite a few people in our community about how we can organize our own ways of documenting missing people. That's like an open source kind of thing. So that's definitely something that we're looking into that would be outside of the police department, that our community by itself would be able to like update and that people would have access to. So that's definitely something that we're looking into as far as like a solution. And then just in terms of how people can reach us, we're definitely very responsive on our social media platforms. If people just DM us, we definitely respond to every single DM. And we're most active on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. My email is ryan@kansascitydefender.com. That's ryan@kansascitydefender.com. We also have a contact page on our website, which is our website is kansascitydefender.com. And also, if people appreciate our work, as I mentioned earlier, we're a nonprofit news outlet, and we rely on donations. That's the only way that we're able to do our work. And so if anybody is interested in contributing to our work and supporting us, we have a donation page on our website as well. So I just am very thankful that you invited me into this space, and glad to meet all of you, and definitely look forward to staying in relationship.
Yeah, you guys are doing some great work over there. I would love to have you. I'm going to send you a list of dates. We do this in the room every single night at 9:30. The different topics, and I think that one of my goals, I try to provide local news that you wouldn't be heard, any other way. And I always found that local news doesn't fit, the typical news medium topics. So we talk about Black health, education, policy, money, business, creativity, arts, food and farming, and tech. But I've been reading you guys since I first came across you, and so now I'd love to definitely pick a topic that you guys have just done and make sure we amplify that and have you on the panel to discuss it, how it affects Kansas City and Missouri, and then Kansas City, Kansas, because you guys are right across from each other, and just in general that Midwest region. So I appreciate you being available tonight, and definitely gonna reach out to you. Are you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Well, my name is Ryan Sorrell, Sorrell.
Is the Defender? You guys have a page for the Defender on LinkedIn?
We have one, but I am not very active on it at all.
Okay.
So
I'm gonna definitely tag you in a couple of places, you personally, and so you can get it. There's a couple of groups on LinkedIn that Black folks are reading stuff and they're actually sharing things. One of them is called the Black Leaders Worldwide. Another one is going to be our group, which you have is, and then another one is Black Enterprise Network. So I'll tag you personally, and then if you start wanting to share stories to LinkedIn, I can definitely whoever you have is doing social media, can definitely give them some tips about sharing stories on LinkedIn and amplifying. Because these are the type of stories. This LinkedIn now is just like any other platform. And but I think I have 7 comments right now from LinkedIn on this broadcast. So wanted to definitely introduce the brand over there and keep track of the story. Because once, Monday or Tuesday, this story is going to, it's going to be supernova viral. And the fact that the bishop is somebody who found a serial killer 20 years ago is just unbelievable. It's crazy.
I'd like to say thank you for, again, all the work you're doing, for everyone who has chosen to hear these words from this young man in this room tonight. for anybody that understands, money is super duper tight right now for a lot of us. I don't think there's any small amount, any amount donated to such work, a mass miracle. And I always walk past someone who's laying on the ground. They don't even have a car, a tent. And I always say that could be me. And we never think it's going to happen to us. But compassion along the way will make any of the blows that life will bring us, and we shall all go through our own challenges, make them a little softer. So, and then if you really could give us a snapshot, what gave you the heart to do such work? Right. Thank you. I'm normally animated in the room at night. I know when to get real serious about real serious subjects. So ain't no preach and all that hollering and all that nothing tonight. I know how to act and when to act. I know how to turn up and have a whole lot of fun and know how to turn down. Ryan, can you tell us just a teeny bit about you very quickly before we get off, if you would?
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much again for those inspiring words, definitely. Just for myself, I started school. I went to school in Chicago, to college in Chicago, and my freshman year was when Trayvon Martin got killed. My sophomore year was when Michael Brown got killed. My junior year was when Laquan McDonald. I don't know if everyone knows who Laquan McDonald is, but
yes, sir. I got it.
So that in and of itself was and just being Chicago. That was when I started organizing, and getting connected to a lot of people. And so I really see myself far more as an organizer than I do as a journalist. And that's how I approach our work as well. And that's really, for me, like I've always been a media person, or like I've always kind of liked to write, and just seeing how news outlets, like we know that the first news outlets in the United States, their very first business models were based off of selling slave ads for the revenue. And so from the very beginning of journalism and news in the United States, it has been a white supremacist institution. And this is just something I have been very passionate about since I was probably in high school. And so just whenever the George Floyd uprising started, I quit. I was working a corporate job at the time, and I quit my corporate job in Chicago, and I moved back here to Kansas City, and started to organize full time. And it became very clear again that if we didn't have our own voice, because whenever we were organizing and protesting, we always had to beg these white news outlets to cover our story. And even when they did, they wouldn't tell it the right way. They would have racist connotations and say things like protesters complained about whatever they said that day. And it was just very clear that we could not rely on them. And so that was when I just knew that we, and on top of that, I think something else that we struggle with is, like even in our city, we have a news outlet, a Black news outlet, but it doesn't really have digital content. They don't really have anything on their website, and they don't have any social media platforms. And I think that that's something because of money, and that a lot of Black news outlets across the country have struggled with. And so that's something that we want to help our other fellow Black news outlets with, is how we can better transition into digital, because that's of course where young people and even everyone, but especially people on things like TikTok, but really everyone gets news from digital platforms now. So that's kind of a lot of the reason that I just recognize that community need, that we needed more information available on digital platforms, specifically from and for Black people in our area. After seeing how much And especially that case of Malcolm Johnson, that was, to me, one of the breaking points. Seeing how they lied on him, lied about him, disparaged him and his family. And same thing, I met the mother of numerous unarmed Black victims here in our city who have been lied about and disparaged in our media. And it's just sickening, honestly. And this is really the best way that I knew how to do something about it.
Well, really, thank you. Thank you I'm sure all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. What am I? Yeah, I'm open. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan, for your intentional work and how we should be covering the news and how we show up in journalism in these spaces. And I'm glad that, you're here, but you also have been battle tested, through the fire now. And it's like, to me, I can definitely, I have enough ammunition to take you to some interesting foundations and places, which you've probably already gone to maybe. But it's like, look, you can't say, Ryan, you can't say Kansas City is not out there doing the work now. So where's the grants? Where's the funding? Because they're on the front lines. And I think, as you move forward, let's definitely stay in contact. If you do a town hall or, whatever you do, bro, let me know so I can bring the noise and make sure these stories like this get out there. If there's anybody in the audience that wants to ask Ryan anything, please raise your hand. I see in the chat, we have Tony talking about what you initially started talking about, Ryan, which is the Kansas City police are known for sexual assault and just being disgusting. And then if anybody just come into the room last 10 minutes, we're just discussing with Ryan's outlet, the Kansas City Defender, was the first outlet to report that Black women were being targeted by an alleged serial killer. The police department pushed back and said, nope, that's not true. And unfortunately, it was true. This man has been arrested for kidnapping and assault and is under investigation for murder. Black woman that he held in his basement for 30 days or less than a month. Fortunately, she escaped. And this is in the Excelsior Springs area. But she was picked up exactly where the Kansas City Defender reported that these kidnappings and these missing accounts were happening. And of course, that was where everybody said, when I say everybody, I mean the white media, unfortunately some Black media, and the police department said that that area was safe and that was not happening. So we were just discussing with Ryan about the stories. And you can go to the City Defender, go through the timeline. You'll see all the things we just talked about, and definitely give them a donation. They're a nonprofit, local news outlet. And again, thank you, Brian, for doing the work. Thank you for being here. Any questions from you, Brother Charlemagne, before we wrap up?
No, man, no question, man. I just appreciate Ryan and all his efforts, because that was my, concerning point. I was like, at the time, I'm like, you have individuals that's missing from a certain area, and regardless of how they live or how they were living, whatever, there should be an issue, when someone's missing, you know what I mean? And I think they just discarded these individuals because of where they were and how they presumed to be living, I guess, in the area. So I just hate that. And Ryan, hats off to you, bro.
Definitely, yeah, I agree 100%. And I think that, to me, that's really like the biggest part about this whole situation, is that people were saying that people were missing, and whether or not, I mean, the police department's job ultimately, supposedly, is to provide safety or protect and serve. I don't think that they do those things, especially for Black people, but that's supposedly what they're supposed to be doing and getting paid to do. And also they get more money in our city than every single public school combined. And so to me, if people are coming to them saying, we think that there are people missing and being killed in this area of our city, even if there's no formal thing filed, to me, it's the least that they can do to be like, okay, we can at least look into it. And so for them to say these are completely unbounded rumors, no evidence, we're not going to look into this, is again just an extension of, and it's not, of course, it's not only happening here in Kansas City, but I think that's why it has resonated with people so much, is that it's something that's happening all across the country, and it's a major problem that's happening all across the country. So I just thank you for bringing that up also.
I just want to thank you for bringing to light the reason that the first newspapers in this stolen land were created. We want to talk about why the cops was originally created in the stolen land. People who actually patrolled plantations, orders by enslavement demons, for we were never slaves and we can never be slaves. And they patrolled the lands to capture kings and queens who were running for their freedom from the demons. So when we think about why the cops don't do what they don't do, we understand why they were created in this stolen land, once again, by America's first heroes or America's first crooks. Pass the mic.
Sister Harden, you had a question for Brother Ryan?
Yes, I do apologize because I just came in within the last 5 minutes, so I know you're about to hear wrong. Mr. Ryan, I'm just hearing about this, and I wanted to know, I know there's this thing about like the Missing Black Foundation, but do you know if there is any kind of any organization of Black folk that actually do in a nonprofit sense would actually do some kind of criminal investigation to advocate in this instance, this type of thing? Do you know that even that type of organization exists?
I think the closest thing we have to it is Bishop Tony Caldwell, who is the initial bishop who reported that these women were missing. His organization, I believe, is called the Justice Coalition, but his organization does some of that, but they are a pretty kind of small organization nowadays. And so and they also do a lot of different things. They help feed the houseless community. They advocate for elderly people who are being abused. They do all types of work, and so they're not specifically focused on that. So I don't know that we have an organization that's their very specific focus in our city.
Okay, and my next and last question, I know you're at the end. You're at the end here. I would like to get in contact with you. I'm going to go on your website first and read. It sounds like you've done a series of articles. So I will go. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. I was going to say we did one major long form article where we broke the story. So I would definitely recommend. That's the second article on our website right now. Then the most recent one is about we found a lot of racist posts from this man, Timothy Hazlitt Jr., showing that he is a white supremacist and believes that we're in a race war. So that's the most recent publication that we have right now.
All right. So what I'll do is read that, and then I will get in contact with you. Just talk with you about some things that can be done, if that's okay with you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Love that. Yeah, my email is ryan@kansascitydefender.com.
ryan@kansascitydefender.com. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
I love this. I wish we could have, we do have emojis for, but it's not, none of them are appropriate. But I love this. Thank you, Ryan, for your time. Thank you, everybody in the audience. I'm going to share this out wide and far and tag you in a bunch of posts, Ryan, throughout the next 3 or 4 days. So, I want to make sure that everybody knows and gives you the same, with the same fervor they decreed you and said, false, fake news. I want them to say, oops, I'm sorry. Thank you, Kansas City Defender, for being there and doing the work that you did do and taking it from everybody who was untrue. All right, y'all.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you again.
Absolutely. We'll be back tomorrow night with Black Policy News. Please, like I say it every night, we are targets in our own neighborhood. Keep your head on a swivel. Your Black intuition kicks in. It's time for you to leave. Leave. Don't second guess yourself. Don't stop. Don't, go get that last jar of whatever, or think about that coffee you left on the counter. Get out. Leave. Follow your instinct. And as we always say, stay Black. See you guys tomorrow night. Whew. You're live, boy. That was a rough one. Thank y'all for tuning in.